24th, 2025 for the County of Newell. I'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to get an agenda. There we go. Excused from the meeting. We do have one Planning Commission member missing, so a motion to excuse Dan Short, please. Greg? All in favor of Greg's motion? That is carried. Minutes from our last meeting, July the 10th, enclosed in your package. How do you wish to handle them? Amanda? Amanda makes a motion to approve the minutes as circulated. Any questions? All in favor of that motion? Opposed? That is carried. Oh, I forgot to vote. I knew what I was thinking. Any reason for post-agenda items? Administration? None. Okay. Adoption of the agenda. Lynette moves to accept the agenda as circulated. All in favor of that motion? That is carried. Development permit 6, item 6. Sorry, Ellen.
I'll excuse myself for a pecuniary interest.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. We will call you back when we're concluded. Shannalee.
Thank you. Development permit 2025048 is for a ground mount solar for individual use. The solar measures 4.5 meters wide and 18 meters long and is going to be installed between the barn and the dugout on the north end of the parcel. The applicant is not requesting any variances to the land use bylaw. There was no response from adjacent landowners, and there was no issues or concerns from staff, and we're recommending approval with conditions.
Okay, thank you, Shannalee. Questions? Comments? Lynette?
Can we maybe just go over the fact that, in the land use bylaw, we have a particular size that is an acceptable size, and that's the one that can just be permitted and go on about your day. But now we've had quite a few that are a little bit bigger. Like, should we be revisiting some of this so that, maybe this is the new size that it should be? And is that, I guess, is that appropriate? Is that what we should probably be considering?
Who wants to handle that? Shannalee.
Thank you. We are working on revising the land use bylaw to increase the size of the solar panel, which would be discretionary. So it is in the works and should be coming to you shortly.
Great, thank you. How do you wish to handle the application? Arno?
I would move that we approve as per the recommendation of staff.
Thank you. Any other comments? All in favor of Arno's motion? Any opposed? That is carried. I was not opposed. It was a slow approval. Item 7, subdivisions. Maria.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This application for subdivision is in Division 4, less than a kilometer east of the hamlet of Bow City and directly adjacent to the Bow River. The proposed subdivision is vacant pasture land, and the applicant would like to establish a residence on the parcel. Access to the proposed parcel and the remnant farmland is from Range Road 17-0. The applicant has submitted a geotechnical study indicating that the land is able to accommodate a residential development, and a septic suitability study was conducted, and this land is suitable for a private septic disposal system. The area is noted to have a high potential to contain historic resources and is also located in a potentially environmentally significant area. So the applicant will have to work with the appropriate provincial ministries during the development stage when they get to that. There are no noted wetlands on the proposed parcel as per the Alberta Wetland Inventory. Information has been submitted from AER indicating that there are no abandoned wells on the quarter section. Alberta Health Services has no concerns. The AER has indicated that there is a well located in the proximity of this subdivision that is a known sour gas well, and the AER setbacks required from this well is 100 meters from the wellhead. So the applicant will also have to take note of that during the development stage. Alberta Transportation has no comments or concerns. Municipal Services has indicated that there is a steep drop-off at the end of the existing maintained road. Any ground disturbance must be done with caution as there is a potential for erosion during spring runoff or heavy rainfall events. And there were no comments or objections from adjacent landowners. The application was circulated to Vulcan County for a review and no comments were raised. So it is recommended that MPC approve this subdivision with the standard conditions. A municipal reserve is not applicable as this is the first parcel out of the quarter section.
Thanks, Maria. And all of those concerns or comments will be shared with the applicant, correct?
That's correct. That it will be circulated when we circulate the notice of decision.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, how do you wish? Holly?
I'll move approval. With conditions.
Thank you. Anything further? All in favor of Holly's, oh, there is a question. Go ahead, Ellen.
Probably not important, but what road is the approach on? What is the number of their access?
Their approach will come from this Range Road 17-0. So this is the end of the maintained road, and then there's quite a drop off here. So I have discussed this with Municipal Services, and so long as they stay within the maintained road, it should be okay, but they will have to work well with Municipal Services to ensure the integrity of that road and that approach.
Okay, all in favor of Holly's motion? Any opposed? That is carried. All right. There was no other business that I'm aware of, no post agenda. Is there a reason for in camera? Seeing none. There was no information items. Any questions in the queue, Catherine? None. I will adjourn the meeting.
10 or so, I will call this meeting to order. Welcome to anyone who's joining us online. There's no one extra in the room. But let's move to, and we do have Councillor Short who will not be here this morning, so if we could have a motion to excuse him from the meeting. Ellen, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. We have minutes from the July 10th, 2025 meeting that have been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Or if not, a motion to approve as circulated? Lynette, all in favor of approval, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Call for post-agenda items. Is there anything to add to the agenda that has not already been circulated? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda as Kelly. All in favor of the approving of the agenda, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Question period or notices of motion. Any notices of motion? Any questions electronically? Seeing none, we'll move. I'm going to suggest that we move to item number 9 on our agenda, administrative business, and Maria is here to present, first of all, the Planning and Development Report. Maria, welcome, and thank you for being here first thing in the meeting this morning.
Yeah, thanks for keeping me around. So the development report, Planning and Development Report, reflects the time period between January to June 2025. We've processed 64 development permit applications compared to 56 during the same period last year. June saw a record high for the number of development permits issued in June. Notable developments so far include a business called Soil Synergy, which is a manufacturer and retailer of humic products for agricultural use, a composting business that creates protein and organic fertilizers with the use of larvae, a small engine repair business in Rolling Hills, an auto wrecking business, a new trucking company, 3 new self-storage businesses in various locations, and 9 ground mount solar installations. Construction permits. We saw a large spike in electrical permits in May 2025. I believe we'll see a spike again, the end of this summer based on the number of the number of solar installation applications we've been getting. This trend shows a progressive increase in the value of construction permits over time, with 2025 nearly tripling 2021's value by mid-year. The county received 7 subdivision applications in the first half of 2025 compared to no applications in the same period last year. And a majority of these applications are aimed at farm succession planning. Land use and policy updates include policies surrounding airport development and also allowing for more streamlined processes. There has been interest in data center projects in Alberta, and this has spurred administration to review and work towards additions to the land use bylaw to allow developers to be confident that they know what is expected for development in the county. Like was mentioned in MPC, we're also looking at updating policy regarding solar projects and just trying to streamline those processes. So that's the first half of 2025 in a nutshell.
Thank you, Maria. Are there any questions for, go ahead, Amanda, please.
Maria, thank you for the report. I'm just curious, how long is a permit good for?
Go ahead.
A permit is good for 1 year to start construction, and then they have 2 years to finish. But as long as the development has been constructed in that time or started in that time, then it's good till the end of that development's life. Unless things get more intense, then they'd have to apply for another development permit.
Okay, thank you. Neil?
Yeah, that was an excellent report, and I heard the word data center, and I think that's fantastic. Just key on that one.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, a motion to accept the Planning and Development Report would be in order. Lynette? All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Maria. And let's go to item number 9.2, the road closure for the approval to proceed on the northwest of 33, 1415 west of 4. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. The purpose of this application is to close the road allowances adjacent to the northeast of 33, 1415, as outlined in the attached maps, and lease to the applicant to facilitate current irrigation practices. The subject lands are in Division 4, approximately 7 kilometers southeast of Scandia and directly north of the Bow River. All parcels in the area are zoned agriculture. The total road allowance to be closed is 1/2 mile and includes 4 acres of land. The applicant is actively irrigating the road allowance, and according to aerial photos, the pivot has been in operation since before 2000. The application was circulated to internal departments, and there were no concerns with the closure and lease of the road allowance. And it is recommended that council approve to move this to public hearing.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Just with regard to the background, this has got some history. Obviously, the practice has been going on for some time. Was that brought to us from the landowner, or was that flagged somehow through our internal system?
We've seen more people come in and direct it to us from the EID. So I think as soon as they are updating whatever they need to update with the EID, road allowances are flagged and they're sending them our way, which is a great partnership.
Okay, no, that's good. Good to know that. Thank you. Kelly, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve as recommended.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Let's move on to item 9.3, the subdivision extension request at northwest of 72115.
Thank you. This subdivision 2023-0-011 was approved by MPC on September 21st, 2023. The approval was valid for 1 year and is now expired. So as per the MGA, if a subdivision is not endorsed by the municipality within 1 year from the date on which the subdivision approval is given to the application, the plan may not be accepted by the Land Titles Office unless council grants an extension. Council may grant a 1-year extension whether or not the time period has expired. So in reviewing the application and the approval granted, the subdivision is still acceptable as the proposal continues to meet the criteria of the land use bylaw and the subdivision authority bylaw. The conditions that the applicant has satisfied already are that all outstanding property taxes be paid, that they enter into a development agreement with the county. They have completed the land use amendment, which was approved by council. They have rectified the encroachment of the dugout on the northern property line by removing the dugout. The municipal reserve was paid as money in place of land, and the finalization fee has been paid. So the one outstanding item that they were waiting for was consent signed by the Eastern Irrigation District. And since submitting this report, the applicant actually has satisfied that condition as well. So now all the conditions are satisfied. They just need council to grant the extension if you think that's acceptable. So it is recommended that council does extend the expiry date of this subdivision.
Thank you, Maria. Just a question with regard to process. There isn't additional charges connected to an extension, or is there? Go ahead, please.
The schedule of fees say the first extension is $350 and then $100 additional to that $350 for any further extensions requested.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Ellen, please.
I do notice here that a second extension request was denied in 2022. Why was that denied?
Go ahead, Maria, please.
Yeah, that is a previous extension for a different subdivision where a first extension was granted and then additional subdivision was not. So just historic council direction so that you know what the precedence was in historically. So generally, the first extension has been granted for different subdivisions.
Right. Okay, thank you. Lynette?
Just to get an understanding how this works, so they're paying extra for an extension, but it was the EID that held up whatever they needed to do, or was it something they needed to do for the EID to let it go through, but yet we still charge them? Like,
Thanks for the question. Go ahead, Maria. Yeah.
It is the applicant's responsibility to get all the required consents, and generally that falls on the surveyor. The EID usually is pretty great, so I'm not really sure what the disconnect is there. I would say it's maybe just an applicant surveyor timeline issue.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, go ahead.
I'd like to exercise option 1, grant the extension by resolution of council.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you.
He's finished 9.4, then we'll be done with the admin section.
Yeah, okay, let's carry on to 9.4, requests for functions of council. Thank you, Maria, for coming in and taking us through that. Are there any functions of council requested? Lynette, please.
after the fact, my meeting yesterday with the Recycling Association.
Right. A motion to make that a function of council. Ellen, all in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Actually, does that need to be a function of council? Because that's a process of the committee that you're, pardon me? It would be automatic, correct? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Just to remind ourselves of that. Are there functions of council requested? Seeing none, let's move on or back to item number. I see we have Mr. Todd Green with us. Shall we go to item 8.1, the Agriculture Fieldman's Report? I think we have both the time and the energy, so welcome to our meeting this morning, Mr. Green.
Energy might be tricky.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Pretty quick and dirty for you guys today. It's been a rainy year. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but that's a good thing. It's keeping things green, and we're not used to it, so we're running into a little bit of the frustrations, but we're happy to see it. Our roadside spraying program had an amazing season. The weather at that time of year was not windy, which is ideal for spraying, and yeah, they had some long days. So those two fellas did a great job doing what they need to do and finished a week ahead of what we normally finish. So we're happy for that. On the flip side, roadside mowing is completely behind. We're not big fans of making a mess when it rains, so we kind of hold off as much as we can. And then, yeah, just a lot of lush growth, so driving a little bit slower. I think Ken told me he was down to 4 kilometers an hour on some roads, and as far as miles go, that's like 3 miles an hour. So he must have a good pot of coffee in his tractor, because that would put me to sleep. But they're still moving forward. We're on the south side of the highway now. 2 running today, and 1 needed to take an extra day for their roads to dry up a little bit. The Bow River program kicked off on the 15th. We anticipated being done by this meeting, but Monday, Tuesday kind of held us up a little bit. And just where we are right now in terms of access to the river, we decided to hold off until Monday just to allow those trails to dry up a little bit. Sentinel's chamomile, common tansy, yellow toadflax, all having an amazing year. So good control year, but that just makes things take a little bit of extra time as well. So hopefully by next Wednesday, we're wrapped up that program and back to regular duties. We did do the club route surveys across the county. Austin did leave it on my desk for me to review. I can't remember the number of fields that the crew looked at, but there's 4 or 5 pages of Excel spreadsheets there. And there's maybe 15 that we have to kind of go back and take a look at, double check with the producer if there's a reason that there's maybe a discrepancy in a field, and sometimes walk out and pick a few plants. So hopefully that's an easy process. Bacterial ring rot, that's our BRR survey. We get those fields from the PGA every year. I'm not sure if I've told you or explained this one before, but the PGA determines the seed lots that we have to test in the field. So each different seed lot that's sold from a producer has to be tested in one field or another. So we have 5. That's not a whole bunch. I think Tabor's got like 35, but the 5 that's a big couple days. If you've never walked through a potato field in late July, it is not an enjoyable survey. So thankfully, Tina and Austin are going to be the ones to do that and not Todd. We have had a super slow year at Emerson Bridge Park so far, and I shouldn't say I know that for certainty because the last time I heard that was in June, and July is when it picks up. The kids are out of school. People tend to do a little more traveling. So I haven't talked to Faye and Richard as of late, but I knew it was a little bit slow. We're always happy when people use the park. We love to see the smiling faces and people enjoying it. We've been working with the Wildlife Conservation Society of Canada. We have a population of bats that has what's called the white nose syndrome. So they are actually, I think it was last week, they were out and they actually netted the bats and they spray them or give them a powder. It's like a little bit of a fungicide fungicide is probably not the right word because that's a crop thing, isn't it? I'm not thinking on all cylinders today, but they help the bats to hopefully treat. It's under their wings, so they have to catch them and give them this little powder. And I couldn't do that, so I'm glad that they can. We just received an email yesterday from the group. They're super appreciative of our support of the bats. Just for context, we went from 2,000 bats last year at the park, or a rough estimate of 2,000 bats, to about 500. So it is a very destructive disease, and they're hoping that with this treatment we can keep that population growing. They also recommended some different bat houses for us to put up.
Is that treatment, excuse me, just effective on the creatures that are treated, or does it have a vicarious impact on others?
Yeah, because of the way bats live, it kind of transfers a little bit as well as to their young when they're nursing. Mm-hmm. My knowledge of bats is super limited to what these guys tell us. I don't like bats at all. They're right. Mice with wings.
I'm with you.
Yeah. But I do appreciate what the bats do for our bug population, so I'm happy that we have them. I just don't want to touch them or see them. But yeah, I apologize. I'm not very well versed in bats. Our mowing crew, our Hamlet mowing crew, has been stretched pretty thin this season. Different projects, different directions, and of course it's rained. Usually by this time of year, it's taking care of some of the weeds and the grass is dying back, but not this year. So it is a lot of fun to see green areas. Places like Scandia and Patricia that don't often have green grass this time of year are lush and beautiful and way ahead of our mowing program. So if you are seeing some complaints, we do apologize. We're trying our best. This is just not typical, and we're loving both sides. Thank you to our wonderful council judge for judging the rural beautification yards on July, actually I think it was the 19th, wasn't it? Did we go out on there? Or was it the 18th? Okay. We had Councillor Holly Johnson, and one staff member, Amanda. We looked at 7 yards. We had 12 nominated. Some were repeat, some were not able to participate. Alfalfa Leafcutter bees are hard on flowers, and the one group didn't want to be involved that way. So there's just lots of reasons why people don't or can't be involved in one year or another. But we did get an opportunity to look at 7 yards and pick 3 winners. So John and Tina Ketchmark were our first place winners. Then we had David and Kathleen Peltzer, pardon me, in Rosemary Country, and then Mark and Krista Kasdorf were 3rd place. So we're looking forward to a great tour tomorrow. We have 71 participants. I was planning for 44, so we had to, add a minibus as well as 2 county trucks to transfer people around. I love it. It's a great day. If you've never been on the tour, I recommend it to everybody. When you're on council or when you're off council, it's a absolutely fantastic way to see the countryside and visit all day. So that's an exciting day, and we're going to show off CDC because we're stopping there for lunch because we have lots of time. 2 of our yards are within 7 miles of each other, so that's a pretty quick turnaround from one yard to another. Barely even need a bathroom break in the middle. I said barely.
Yep.
Barely. Our rental equipment, our usage is down a little bit on the acres, but the actual renter numbers is pretty static, and we still have a good jag of the year to go. We do see lots of fall seeding as well. So for the drills, livestock equipment again pretty static. Traps is way down, and this has been kind of trending downward for the last 20 years that I've been here. We've just sold a amazing amount of traps to our detriment because now we don't rent them out. But that is what it is, and we're just glad that people can take care of any problems when they have them. And then sprayers and the barbecue. The barbecue rentals number, I will admit, is not recorded accurately. We don't write down every time somebody from the county uses it. So if we have a county function, the fire chiefs used it the other day, we don't necessarily write that down like we should. So that 18 rentals is probably closer to 30, which would be about normal for this time of year. We usually end up with about 40, 45 uses throughout the season. So that's the wonderful stuff I had to tell you today and in time.
Thank you, Todd. Are there questions? Neil?
Just while you're here, can you give us a little CDC update, how things are going?
Too. I never exactly know what to put in my Fieldman report. It's kind of ag services related, so I don't often inject the CDC stuff, but maybe I should start that. We are excited, beyond excited for the, I'm trying to be as positive as I can, of course. But the Griffin building, we have 4 wonderful renters that are going to be utilizing that space starting this fall. We started the renovations of it last week with the wonderful rain that accelerated our renovations because we had an ant's hill worth of crew out there. But the offices are all cleaned out. There's new walls being put up, new doors, new lights. Flooring starts next week. Oh boy, what else? New windows. So that the place is going to look 2025 ready, and we're going to have it full. People paying some bills as early as September 1st. We have one shop bay that we're renting out for storage, and that starts August 1st. So we utilize some of those wonderful ants that we had to organize and clean out the one bay. It's amazing what gets stored. And I mean, we all have this shop that we've had since 1950, 70, 2000, whatever it is, that just has too much stuff. And so we've had an amazing time going through stuff and organizing it. Great crew, great help from the CDC staff as well. So again, so that's the building side of things. We have the quotes out on the greenhouse. All the different bays are coming in separately. So we're doing the bays, the production side, the glass houses are getting the first upgrade, and then we'll move on to the poly ones, and then the research side. So we continue to meet with people every week, probably 3, 4, 5 tours. We're happy to meet with anybody that wants to come out. We have the beginning of August, we have quite a few. The University of Calgary is one of the big ones that's coming with a pretty good delegation. We're actually, we commandeered about 4 hours of their time, including the lunch hour. So we're going to show them quite a bit of the place and really give them a good feel for how we could partner out there.
What day is that again?
That's August 6th. August 6th is the University of Calgary, yeah. And I think we just met with Olds College, or we're meeting with Olds College this week. Candace has been busy with the renovation stuff as well as meeting with people and signing the lease contracts. So when we do cross paths in the hallway or on site, it's pretty quick updates, and I'm not always that good at remembering. Our crops are looking phenomenal. The barley at the CDC site in Brooks here looks good for not having any fertilizer applied. The Bow Island stuff, I was intending to go down this week. It didn't work out. But from our producer, he's saying everything looks really good. The infrastructure in Bow Island is falling apart. We had 15 breaks in the one wire that guides the pivot on the east side of the property. So we partnered or paid Rivers Electric to come out and fix that. We're hopeful to get over this season and then make some big changes down there. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of positive things. We're hopeful that we can sign some land contracts for 2026 before 2026, and I think that'll give us some good eyesight on what's coming. So
That's excellent, Todd. Thank you.
and just Adina, did you go out and pick some of the Saskatoons? Were they delightful? My only instructions to Candace to allow that was that we got a pie, and I just haven't seen that yet. I just wanted to make that public. No. The other cool thing, Donovan and Joe got we have a wonderful apple orchard out there, some apple trees that are probably well beyond their useful life, but they are just absolutely full of apples this year. So we've partnered with that Hammond Ag out of Lethbridge, and he's doing some work in the orchard, and he continues to bring people out and continues to gather information for us. And it's just, those are the kind of the cool things that are coming out of it. But yeah, when we got the irrigation going, there was so many apples on the trees. Every time the sprinkler hit a tree, it was knocking apples off. So we had to be very cautious with that. It was, it's a beautiful place, and truly I'm happy for the opportunity to try to get it utilized. So.
Good work, Todd. Thank you for that. Ellen, you've got a question.
Todd, how do you advertise for CDC South to get businesses to either rent or lease or what have you?
I don't know if it's the best way or not, or the best ways or not, I guess. We do a lot of word of mouth. We had a great opportunity to meet with the farm writers. So remember, was it last year we had the farm writers, the international farm writers out, and we took them to Lake Newell and then went up to Olds College and had that great visit. Well, their Alberta chapter was able to come out. So there was about 15, maybe 20 of their local farm writers. So we had the opportunity to speak to them about the history of the site as well as our plans for the future. We've been in the Western Producer, Alberta Farmer. Rural Roots has done a couple stories on us online, and you could hear Todd's voice on the internet if you are so inclined. I don't know that I'm the best face for the place, but I'm doing my best to shave when appropriate. And then we have our website, and then just a lot of conversations. So, we've got a lot of advocates working on our behalf. Everybody from Arno to Craig Lester is a great proponent for us. Candace has been talking to as many people as she can. We haven't had the time yet this summer, but it was our intention kind of in August to start reaching out to a few more people, doing some cold calls. We aren't sure where to put our priorities, whether it's for the current situation or if it's for the future, and we're just kind of mixing it all together. So lots of meetings, lots of phone calls, trying to be as nice and smiley as possible.
Good job. Oh, Kelly, you got a question? Sure, go ahead.
Not related to CDC.
Oh, that's
okay.
fine.
I just returned from Saskatchewan. They let me in, let me back out again. the ditches in some areas there are full of scentless chamomile. I know that you are spraying on private property where permitted, when permitted. If somebody hears our conversation today, can they call you and have you come out and treat their baby's breath?
Baby's breath, scentless chamomile, any of those 75 weeds that are regulated, we are absolutely happy to help. And I think that's to the credit of this council in past, just being willing to do that and spend the resources. That's why our county looks as good as it does. Other municipalities, whether it's Alberta or Saskatchewan, don't necessarily do that, and sometimes things get away on us. So we are quite lucky, and we're happy to help anybody that needs it.
Yeah, and just to put it in context, it renders these highway ditches unmowable. Like you can't bale that stuff. You don't want to feed that stuff to anything that I know of. So total waste of space. And so kudos for keeping Alberta clear from scentless chamomile. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Holly, please, you've got a question.
Just two things quickly. Earl Taylor Day is August 3rd, in case you didn't know. You can add that to your happy mowing schedule. And secondly, with these bats, like who noticed they had a white nose syndrome? Because I think bats are quite fascinating, but how did that get even found?
Okay, can I go back to that first one? I was listening and not writing. August 2nd? 3rd. Okay. And then Corey Olson is the bat guy that we talk to the most. And I don't know how they determine. I think there was always so we have two different types of bats at Emerson. This gives me the heebie-jeebies just to even talk about it. But we have a small brown bat and a large brown bat, I believe they're called. And one of them has a population that lives, the larger ones live underneath the bridge. So I think that population was always known. So when they were coming to look at that population, they noted our bat houses in the park itself. Because to get to the bridge, you have to actually drive by two of our bat houses. And so then they did a little more investigating. So nothing that we had anything to do with, just this great resource that they have.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Lynette, please.
So the bat houses that are there now is the ones that you can see when you are headed down to the dock. Those are the new ones that you've built now, or? No.
I know we added some new ones, and I believe actually Corey Olson had some suggestions for some different styles that they were going to provide for us to put up. And I believe their different style had maybe more room, where ours were a little more condominium style. Theirs are more spread out. So the bats have a little more room, so then the potential to not transfer the disease is better. So I don't know which ones you're specifically talking about, but I know there's a bunch of new ones. We had some poles that were deteriorating, and we replaced the poles in the houses at the same time last season. And then, I think Corey was going to bring us some to put up free. And I mean, I'm cheap, so free is a good day for me.
Thanks, Todd. Any other questions?
I was just going to say, so the single-family dwelling ones are the older ones, okay.
The townhouses versus the condominiums, yeah, that's right.
Well, thanks for that report, Todd. That was great, and for the good work you're doing on many fronts. And continue. I'll just put a pitch in for your work on the environmental stewardship, or the environmental farm plans. The work that we're doing that Todd provides to individual landowners is valuable and useful and appreciated. So thank you for that. So we could use a motion of acceptance, but I think we can make it conditional, can we? Like, you're getting this pie. It's going to be big enough for 10 pieces, I hope. 11, actually. Yeah, okay. Good. A motion to approve Todd's report as presented. Lynette, thank you. Pie's in there, thanks. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thanks, Todd. With that, let's move, we're a little behind schedule to item number 7.1. Tanya Dingwall, come on to the mic, please, to discuss a letter of support for the Brooks and District Museum and Historical Society. Thanks for coming in this morning. I'm going to suggest that we'll have introductions and then give you the floor. Yeah. Okay. Neil, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Neil Johnson, Councillor for Division 10 around Brooks.
Good morning, Amanda Philpott, Division 8, around Dutchess.
Good morning, Ellen Unruh, Division 7, around the village of Rosemary.
Hi, welcome. Greg Screever, Division 5, Lakeland Resort and Castles area.
Hi, I'm Kelly Chrisman, and I'm from the northwest side of the county.
I'm Arno Dirksen from Division 9, the Gem area.
Good morning, Matt Fensky, CAO.
Good morning, Holly Johnson, Division 4, the areas of Scandia, Rainier, and Bow City.
Hello, Tanya. Good to see you in person. Good morning, welcome. I'm Lynette Kopp, Division 3, which is the Patricia Millicent area.
Hello, Tanya. Good to see you.
Ariana Nielsen, Executive Assistant.
Hi, Tanya. Sandra Sandway, Brooks Boulet.
And we literally have your back this morning. If we could have introductions from the RCMP as well.
I'm Shannon McCready.
Yeah.
And I'm Rob Arms with Brooks.
Okay. Right. Thanks for coming in this morning, Tanya. Go.
Do I necessarily
you're
need
on.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're good. Yeah.
Okay. So just a little background. I've been with the Brooks and District Museum for 6 years. Assistant curator. Jerry Bander, who has been there for many, 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 many years, is ready to retire, but we still need her amazing knowledge and support because I'm still learning a lot. Her shoes are very, very big to fill. Yeah, so I decided I would put together a bit of a presentation with what we're doing here. So we are looking to display our historic tractors. Right now, we have a building, yes. So this is our rust building where the tractors are stored right now. Along with other unrelated artifacts, and it's also the workspace for our volunteers who maintain the tractors so that they can be used in the parades in town and of course at the museum. So as you see there isn't a lot of safety involved as far as letting the public in there. There's gas, there's tools, there's electrical, and the tractors just can't be displayed to their full potential. So where people can actually see the history, know who's donated them. The majority of them are, I'm guessing, from people within the county. A Peltzer name comes to mind, and I'm pretty sure that's a very popular family around the area. Again, I'm not familiar with a lot of the families because I don't have any knowledge of farming. And of course not being at the museum for more than 25 years like Jerry has, so she's familiar with every tractor we have and who's donated. So just a couple other of our unique tractors that we do have in our collection. They're within that building. Some are also contained in an outdoor wagon shed, just with a cover still out in the open, so to speak. So with this project, this is a lot to read, so I won't necessarily expect you to read it all, but we can't display these tractors to the public because of the safety. We have talked with our volunteers. We've got a good crew of fellas that have spent a lot of time and effort getting a good chunk of these tractors working. And we want the public to be able to see these. So the only time they do is with parades or when we physically accompany them into the building. Usually the tractor enthusiasts, we will physically go with them and take them through. But that's maybe twice a season, if that. So our volunteers, our board, Jerry, myself, talked about building a new structure. Right now, the Rust building that they're in is, I believe it's 60 by 100, of course, because of the space with workshop area storage. The structure that we are wanting to build is, so I'll just go on to the next one, is our vision, what we're looking for, is definitely smaller, but just to house the tractors and a few covered wagons for the public. So we're looking at about a 40 by 60 similar structure, the metal siding, wood post. I'm not a contractor construction person, so I don't know all that part. We've got Norseman Metal Supply doing the quote and the future work for us. So they've come and looked at our site, and we've picked where we want to put it, which would be just directly across from this other building we have, just so that the public can actually physically go in, see the tractors in better lighting, and have the history right there in front of it, who donated it, the year, that kind of thing. So with this building, we're at a very high cost, and the museum being a nonprofit. But we've done some fundraising. So our next one, just to let you know where we're getting funds from and what our plans are. The Community Facility Enhancement Program that we have applied through the Alberta government before for other projects. We do the small grant stream with that one, so they fund up to that $125,000. And then, of course, it's a matching grant. So for this project, we would go to the 100,000 point, and then, of course, on our end, do the matching 100. Right now, with the fundraising we've done from our Christmas light up donation drive-through, so a few 50-50 raffles, and then we got a generous estate donation last year of $10,000. So we're at about that $25,000 mark that we have right now. So of course, we still have a bit of a ways to go. We're hoping that with continual fundraising, seeking donations, that sort of thing, that we could get to that point when the government has made their decision on the grant, because of course that's that 6-month period. So about March, I guess we would find out. We would hope to start construction April, May, and however long we're gonna need for that to happen. But so part of the grant as well is asking people, organizations for letters of support. We did have one initially, but our board figured we need to reach out to more people, more organizations. And so that's, where I came in here.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. So you're asking for a letter of support to this project?
We are, yes.
We've got
so I'll just show you the, one more there. That is the drawing that we did receive. A fella donated his services to do that. So the, your left, the red square, that's where we are looking to put it on the grounds with all the other buildings. We have 7 acres, so we have a good chunk of space. And then, of course, the drawing there of what it would look like. And I'll just show you one more there. That's sort of the style of exhibition space we would like. So it's well lit, and then you can see the history there as well. And then these 3 carriages are also part of that collection that can't be seen. Yeah, it's important. We, of course, I think everybody would feel that, especially being, you know, an agricultural community that we are, that seeing not just the tractors, but some of these unique wagons too are important to show not just our visitors, but a lot of our community and surrounding community, because a lot of people have never stepped foot in the museum, and a lot of people new here, like myself, in the last 20 years, know nothing about farming. So we just, yeah, we want to really try to get as much support, diverse support for this, and hopefully that'll help push the government to give us those funds. Yeah, so in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're looking for, is a good, strong letter of support.
Okay. Thank you, and I think we have a proposed letter of support in front of us, at least from the county. Are there any questions or comments? First, Holly, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm just wondering how much you work with or partner with the other museum, the EID Historical Park in Scandia. What's the relationship that you guys work together?
We don't actually. From my view, I've been there 6 years. We don't do a lot with them. I mean, we've been in contact whether if we have items that people want to donate that we necessarily don't have space for, then we would contact them if they'd be willing to take it. But the working together, it might have been previously. Jerry, I'm sure, like, she's been in contact with one of the fellas, and I can't remember what his position was there. I don't believe he's there any longer. But yeah, I think that it would be a good working relationship to get that going. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, and then Lynette.
Hi, I'm just wondering, Tanya, if you would share your PowerPoint presentation with us. I think it's very good.
Oh, thank you. I have a copy here that I can leave as well.
I was just thinking an electronic copy would be great.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Lynette, go ahead.
So is your new building going to be heated so that you can have it open all winter as well?
No, we won't have it heated, just because we do close all our outside buildings for the winter. We definitely could take people out there to see the tractors during the winter. It's just with the amount of snow and stuff we get, and we don't plow back there. It just depends on weather. But we will, and I totally forgot, and I apologize, part of the project is putting solar panels on that building to help with offsetting our costs of electricity.
Yeah, that was explained in the written material as well, too, so we've seen that.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, sorry, I totally forgot. I'm just so worried about all these neat
that's
tractors.
good. Yeah, excellent presentation. We appreciate that. Thanks for the good work that you do. Certainly support and appreciate what.
I mean, I love the museum. I had no experience. I came to that job not knowing anything. Still don't know a lot, but it's just such a neat place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we can, get our word out there to, you know, county, different areas, our outlying communities, and just build that rapport and support. That's a bonus.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I'm going to ask council for a motion. Well, you've got a draft letter of support there. What's your wish? Support the notion? We look for a motion. Go ahead, Neil.
I would make that motion to
Provide
write
a
the letter
support.
of support for the museum. That was an excellent presentation. Good work.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to let Ariana deal with that. I'm not very technical.
Yeah, okay.
I know how to put it together, but as far as playing it, I'm not very good at that.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yes, well, thank you again. It was nice to meet you all.
Okay, thanks for coming in. Okay. Seeing our RCMP representatives here, welcome. Come to take the mics this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having us. Sergeant Joe Schmidt from Bassano was unable to be here today, so I have his report, and I think you have it as well, and actually we'll start with his report today. So we will speak to both the Bassano report and the Brooks report. I brought with me Corporal Sharon McCready, who has been here before, I believe. I'm not sure how long ago.
It's been a while.
Yeah, okay, maybe you can just introduce yourself real quick, Sharon.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
Yeah, so I'm Corporal Sharon McCready, and this week I'm in the acting operations chair because Dave is away, but my regular unit is community policing. So I'm going to talk a little bit after about some of the stuff we're doing in crime reduction in the county and city of Brooks.
Great. Yeah, excellent. So, yeah, we will start with the Bassano report. This was prepared by Sergeant Schmidt. Again, I'll speak to the Brooks report after that, and there's a little bit of overlap and some commonality between the two of them, so you might find that I'm skipping over some stuff in one report, but I think by the time I'm done speaking to both reports, we'll cover off what needs to be covered. So starting with the Bassano report, I don't know if you want us to click on it, or it's up to you guys. I'm just going to read off of my notes. So sure. But again, starting with the Bassano report, it is a quarterly report, so it's representing the months of April, May, and June. And Sergeant Schmidt just makes reference to calls for service, proactive patrols, and criminal record checks. In summary, I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but in summary, there was 236 calls for service, 350 patrols were done, and there was 40 criminal record checks done for that entire quarter. On his report, he speaks about community policing. Again, I'm not going to go through everything point by point, but I will pick out some highlights here. So Bassano members were definitely busy with community policing in the quarter. That included a number of pop-in visits at various places, including at Bassano, Rosemary, Gem, the colony schools, and so on. And members even participated in a bike rodeo at the Bassano school, which was done in conjunction with, I believe, the peace officer. Am I right on that, Sharon? And your unit as well, right? Yeah. The detachment also participated in the 2025 Bassano Small Town Smoke Down Barbecue and Car Show. And I believe Joe actually had his own personal vehicle in there, which he's very, very proud of. And I was actually proud of him for putting that in there. So in addition to him being there, we had Sharon's unit there, the Safe Communities unit there. They had a booth set up, and they spoke about the ongoing pivot wire thefts and kind of some awareness pieces and prevention. And we'll speak more to that in a second if we could, Sharon, because that's going to come up here a couple times. But it was just great to see that they pulled that together and were there for that. There was some fraud and internet safety presentations done within the community, including at the Senior Lodge Center. There was some domestic violence presentation in the workplace done, I believe. And Joe attended a town hall meeting on April 30th where he was able to speak to our upcoming detachment priorities and get some consultation regarding that. So those are some of the highlights there. And the one thing I want to speak about there with his point about, being at a town hall meeting and consulting regarding our detachment priorities, that is something every detachment does in Alberta. And probably outside Alberta as well. But when we set our detachment priorities, we consult with the public, we consult with elected officials, we consult with our partners, we look at stats, sometimes we put surveys out, and so on. So we make sure that we get that right feedback from everybody, because we're smart enough to know that we don't know everything about the community and what we should be focusing on. So when we do that, often I find we get the right priorities in place and we proceed with those. So I just wanted to point that out because there seems to be some confusion with that amongst communities and throughout the area. Joe further speaks to, some bar walks and some violation tickets that were written. Again, I'm not going to go through that specifically. It's all in the report. As far as staffing in Bassano, Joe has a full complement of members. The newest member is Constable Mulvihill. Is that how you pronounce it? Mulvihill. He basically makes note that she's doing very well. I can tell you from my perspective, she is an excellent addition, not only to that detachment, to this whole area. She is doing very, very well, and that's a huge success and a huge addition to the detachment. So we're quite happy with that. A couple significant incidents. April 9th, there was a fairly significant incident at the Bassano Family Foods grocery store where it was broken into at about 2:45 in the morning. Front door was smashed. 3 suspects entered. Losses are estimated at $25,000 worth of cash, cigarettes, lottery tickets, and probably more were stolen from there. Bassano utilized a number of different investigation techniques, including forensic services, analyzing CCTV, and more. And because of their efforts, they actually anticipate charges here. They indicate that at least one suspect's been identified. They can't release any more information on that because it's still ongoing, but it's good to see, it looks like we're going to have some successes there as far as holding people accountable. So that is ongoing, and I'm sure there'll be more to come on that. We know irrigation, pivot wire, and copper thefts has been a hot topic in the rural area, especially in southern Alberta, and especially in this region of southern Alberta. We've spoke about that before. From April to June, Bassano had 4 reports of wire theft from irrigation pivots. And we know those aren't cheap, and that's a heavy hit to the landowners. We did put some resources into that, and there was a recent media release about that. But again, I'm just going to speak to that a little bit further in the report here. There was also some stolen copper from an industrial site, which is not uncommon in rural Alberta. With respect to the stolen copper, it happened April 22nd. It was on an industrial site near Bassano. And again, through great investigational steps, they were able to recover the wire. And in fact, there was charges laid on a 24-year-old Brooks resident, and her name is there. She was charged with 1 count of possession of property obtained by crime, and a warrant was issued for her arrest at the time. So again, we're seeing some successes there. Vehicle thefts, April to June, Bassano seen or responded to 5 reports of stolen vehicles and 1 jet boat. 4 of those vehicles had keys left inside of them. That's noteworthy for everybody, and a good reminder, make sure you take your keys out of your vehicle. All of those vehicles were recovered, however, the jet boat was not. And then the report closes off with some statistics, and again, I'm not going to speak to any of those. They kind of speak for themselves. I didn't touch on everything in the report. I kind of breezed over it, but before I move on to the Brooks one, is there any questions regarding the Bassano report?
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll just open it to council. Any questions? Kelly, go ahead.
I do. Recently, administration at the office has changed or left, departed, I guess is the correct word. Will that position be refilled?
So you're talking about the one at the Bassano detachment? Yeah. The answer is yes. We've been working on that for several months, actually, and I can tell you that that process is running, and they've just completed the interview stage of it. I understand there's even more interest in it, so I don't know if that means it's still open to more applicants, but definitely they're in the interview process, and which is one of the, I'm not going to say one of the last steps, but we're well into it. So it is a priority for us to fill that. And it is going to have some impacts on that detachment, right? And we're aware of that. And Joe has a plan to you know, how to address those impacts and make sure that that door is open as long as it can be. Unfortunately, for this upcoming week, because the support person is gone, her last day is Friday, and Joe is on holidays this upcoming week, the detachment door will not be open. However, it's important to understand that policing services will continue, and there's going to be a detailed note on the door. Obviously, if it's complaint related or an emergency, there's going to be directions on how to get that information to the officers right away. And if it's something administrative related, the Brooks detachment will be able to step up and help with that. So a little bit of an inconvenience, but by no means you know, are we shutting down office or policing operations there for this upcoming week.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
I know the French language is a hindrance to most Bassano residents, so that would limit some applications coming in. But good to hear that it will be.
Yeah, and apparently we have some good, strong applicants and so on. So we're quite excited about that side of it. So. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, go ahead.
Okay, I will move into the Brooks one. The Brooks report's very similar template to the Bassano one. Again, we're talking about April, May, and June results. In summary, when we talk about our calls for service for the quarter, 561 in the rural area. For rural patrols, just over 1,100 rural patrols, 146 criminal record checks, and 165 violation tickets were written in that quarter by Brooks members. The second section is basically our community policing and involvement. And in the quarter, we did 52 media releases, we did 18 presentations to the public, and we did 13 engagements with the public. So maybe Sharon, I'll just let you talk on that a little bit. Sharon's unit actually looks after all three of those, the media releases, of presentations, and the engagements. Maybe you can just define a little bit about each one.
Sure. Okay, so with our media releases, what we're trying to do, I'm sure you've seen in the last year, is just be a little bit more transparent with the public of different calls we're going to. And so the most common ones you're going to see are motor vehicle collisions, mischief, theft. Not so much are you going to see the domestic, like you're never going to see a domestic violence or something with children unless it's a public safety issue. That also goes with like sexual assaults. We're really careful because those have victims and they're high profile for the most part. So sometimes people are like, we get messages asking why we don't put other things out there. That's why. It's always victim-centered, trauma-informed. And in the very rare case, I mean, we're looking for, like not long ago, the parents of a child. So then that's when it gets put out there. But there's a lot of consideration as to what is getting posted, anything where it could go, I mean, provincial, like there's going to be a lot of media interest. We are always consulting with Cative Media. So especially those missing persons files, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look on the Safe Communities postings, we cannot post our own missing persons posts without them first posting on the RCMP page. So we just share the information. The reason being is that they can go back in and update once that person's found or if there's more information that comes, and it updates across the board. So it's not a whole bunch of us independently trying to keep up with the updates. If they update the main post, it updates on ours. So that's the reason for that. And what we're also trying to like not flood the internet all the time with just here's a whole bunch of things going on. So we've kind of delayed it a little bit. We're talking about like how are we going to change this? What does it look like going forward? Probably several times a week, but I think the everyday can sometimes people just get drowned out and they don't care, right? So we're trying to highlight those more important ones. Definitely when Miss Sandra is asking about a collision, I'm like, okay, that's newsworthy, so for sure that needs to be going out there. Anything with injuries, people want to know. That's what people care about when they see things. So we try to make sure that we're transparent. But if we're pulling back a little bit on the daily media releases, that's why. Presentations, so we have been doing quite a few in different ways. Basically whatever is kind of the flavor of the month. As you know, things kind of roll in. Have any of you received the text saying that you have a ticket Yep, okay. So it's a scam, right? But that's a big one right now. So we've been doing lots of stuff with scams, right? So in the community last week, Kelly and I went around and we put these at all our gift card scam places in town. It's just a big stop sign. This is actually something that Harms had brought to our detachment as something he's done in other places. And it seems super simple, but we still have people doing this every day. Going into places, buying $500,000, like $500 to $1,000 to more than that of gift cards. We talked to lots of staff who were like, yeah, we have our own internal policies, but they're still doing it. What do we do? So we're just trying to do some awareness. Unfortunately, our elderly population is heavily targeted, and they get inside their own heads, and then if they don't have someone they can trust to talk to, or something like this right in their face, a lot of them are believing the phone call, the email, and whatnot. So this is a little local thing. You should see them in most places. Most of the businesses were very supportive of the initiative. Some have to check with their central offices about their policies, but that's just a little bit of our crime reduction proactiveness that we're trying to do in the community. And then the other one being this, Kelly, who's in charge of Safe Communities, put together these pivot wire theft brochures. It's just information and like what to do and where to go and who to call. And we went around all through the county and put them at all the post offices and different places, a little, some of the stores, anyone who was willing to let us post them or on their community boards. So if your community doesn't have them, and let us know, please, if we miss somewhere. I think that we covered most of the county. But those are just simple things that we're trying to do on a crime reduction stage, and we are open to ideas. So if you are seeing things in your communities and you're like, hey, Sharon, you guys, we really could use some help on this, feel free to contact myself or Kelly from Safe Communities, and we are constantly trying to come up with new things. And if there's effective ways, like you guys know your own community is the best, what's the best way to connect with stakeholders and with people, please pass that on to us. So that's what we've been up to. Presentations across the board on different topics. Once school is back in, it's going to be an interesting fall with the consent topic and with Alberta Teacher Association, with a lot of things changing from the premier of what's okay and what's not. So previously doing consent presentations, they had to opt out of it, like everyone was going unless a parent said no, and it looks like the province has changed that. So that comes with some interesting terrain to navigate from a education standpoint for us. Consent, sexual consent is always the biggest thing that we are trying to get our teenagers to learn about. If they can learn when they're young what is and is not okay and what consent actually is, that is a super good life skill long term. So we're just trying to figure out also how that's going to look come the fall. And there's lots of things going on in the teacher world too, so we'll see where school's at. But coming this fall, just so you know, we do have a school resource officer who will be here. He starts August 31st, and he's a member who's transferred from Cold Lake, so that's really cool. He's done 4 years in the military, 4-year posting there, and then did, I think, 10 years in the military prior to. But he's a young dad and super excited, so I'll introduce him. Maybe we'll pop him out here for a meeting. But he'll be paid by like the school resource program. So his 3 schools are in town, but the county schools use him a lot. When I was in that role, you're used a lot as a consultant. What do we do here? Who do we call? How do we handle the situation? So Constable Scott LaChance starts at the end of the month, and we'll try and tour him through here so you guys meet him. But we're excited to have him. And then that will mean that my unit, crime reduction unit, we will be up to full staff. So it'll be myself and him and Kelly, which we're excited for, and excited for the fall and all different crime prevention things that will come our way.
Thanks, Sharon. And again, when we talk about media releases, doing presentations to the public, doing the engagements where we get out there and talk about this stuff, this is the stuff, or some of the stuff that Sharon's unit is addressing. And sometimes that prevention and awareness piece is really the best defense, to prevent people from becoming a victim of crime. So it is a huge part. Just moving down the report, just so everyone's aware, on the Brooks side, we are what's called a post-attachment. So we have municipal members and we have rural members under the provincial servicing agreement. On the provincial side, we're at full staff. We have 28 funded positions right now in the detachment, and 6 of those are provincial, and we're at full staff there. So just so everyone's aware of that. I listed a number of significant events on my report. I'm not going to go through them again. They're there for your reading pleasure. And there is a variety there, everything from impaired drivers, collisions. There's even one about a coyote following a person in a rural area, which I believe might have been just a coincidence. But I am going to speak to two of them just because I want to touch on a couple points. And the first one is point number 5, and it's a flight from police incident that occurred on June 22nd. We received a call from Medicine Hat Police Service about basically a dangerous offender that had committed a number of offenses, and they believed that that suspect, who was in a vehicle, was coming towards the Brooks area. And so the on-duty members had set up a plan to try and intercept that vehicle, and they did intercept it on the outskirts of Brooks and try and deal with it. But that vehicle fled from police, and it basically caused at that point, a low-level pursuit. The vehicle entered the city and, quite frankly, was driving very, very dangerously and putting people at risk. So in those cases, we reassess what we're doing and how we're impacting the situation. And often it means that we will fall back or try and deal with this from a more distant manner and so on. And so that individual left the city and continued westbound on Highway 1. And then our officers basically re-engaged, and they got the vehicle stopped at one point, but there was some non-compliance and the vehicle took off again. That vehicle proceeded through the Bassano area and towards the Gleason area. And as it did that, we were able to engage more and more resources, from that area and from those detachments, including a police service dog unit. And happy to say that they brought that vehicle to a stop on Highway 1. And they took a 34-year-old male into custody from Manitoba. He was charged with dangerous operation of a motor vehicle, flight from police, possession of stolen property, and failure to comply with the release order. I believe he's also facing other charges from other jurisdictions. He was subject to a hearing with a justice of the peace and was remanded into custody. Now, I'm going to speak further to this in a second, but I want to highlight the next one, which is point number 6. It's also it's a stolen vehicle complaint. Occurred on June 25th at about 7:17 in the evening. Brooks RCMP received a report of a damaged and an abandoned Jeep left near Township Road 184 and 171. It was abandoned, there was no one there. But when the officers went there, they discovered that the vehicle was stolen. And long story short on this, they started searching for the person that was in possession of that vehicle. And someone came forward and said, hey, I picked up an individual from near that vehicle and dropped them off in the city. And so the officers followed up on that, and they actually located the individual. They arrested that individual. And that was a 26-year-old male from Medicine Hat. He was charged with possession of stolen property, being that vehicle. He was also subject to a hearing, but he was released. Now, the reason I wanted to highlight these two, I make reference on the last page about repeat offenders. Regarding point 5, the flight from police, at the time of arrest, that suspect was already on one release order from other matters, which included allegations and charges of 2 property offenses, 4 driving offenses, 2 person offenses, robbery, failed to comply with an order, and failed to appear in court. So it just speaks to often we're not dealing with first-time offenders. And if we look at the second matter that I highlighted with the stolen Jeep that was abandoned and that individual, at the time of arrest, that individual was on 4 different types of release orders, which were the result of 4 property offenses, 1 assault, 1 mischief, 3 failed to appear in courts, and 7 drug offenses. So again, not new to the criminal world, so to speak. And it just so happens at the same time we were dealing with a matter in the city, which is not highlighted in the report, but it involved a stolen vehicle with 3 people in it, and the primary suspect in that, when he was arrested, he had 7 outstanding warrants for his arrest for failed to appear in court and 2 mischiefs, and he was also on a release order from the courts. So it really speaks to, again, we're not rarely are we dealing with first-time offenders. Often we're dealing with repeat offenders. And it's just, in my opinion, it's very noteworthy. And I want everyone to know that that's kind of who we're dealing with on a regular basis. The old saying of 90% of the time goes into 10% of the people might very well be applicable here, right? So anyway, I just thought that was a noteworthy point. I have a couple other points on the Brooks report. There's an interesting trend if you looked at the statistical page for January to June, and that's on the mischief side. It shows a really elevated percentage, 1,900% increase of 2025 results compared to 2024. I just wanted to point out that's more of an anomaly. The number of mischiefs that we're seeing in the county is 20 year to date, and that's actually fairly consistent with previous years except for last year. For some reason, it was really low last year, and that's what that report's comparing it to. So it's kind of skewed the numbers a little bit. I don't think there's anything to be overly worried about there, although, you know, any crime is something to be concerned about, but it is consistent with previous years other than last year, if that makes sense. I want to highlight some operations here. July 3rd, this detachment executed its first what we call Operation Street Sweep. And I've run this operation at other detachments, and happy to say that we're now doing this operation in the Brooks and Brooks area, and that includes Bassano. And basically on July 3rd, we partnered with not only Bassano detachment, but our GIS unit, our community peace officers, including from the county, and we all kind of just took a day to address our mandates. And that's one of the big things was looking for people on warrants, checking people that were on conditions, and also addressing aggressive drivers and so on. So we've seen some great results from that. There was 38 traffic tickets issued, 25 traffic warnings, 19 outstanding arrest warrants were executed on 10 different people, and there was 12 compliance checks done on offenders that were bound by court conditions. So it's a great operation. It's a proactive operation, and there'll definitely be more of those going forward. I speak about boat patrols. Brooks Detachment has a boat. We're making sure that we utilize that both in the Brooks area and the Bassano area, and it's been launched a few times now because of stranded boaters and things like that. So that will continue. We already spoke about pivot wire thefts in the campaign that we've run. I will say Bassano Detachment was a huge part of that, and they most certainly, I don't know if we want to say they led that, but they were a part of getting that going. So that was good to see. That's all I have in my my report. But I do want to close off by saying one thing, and that is I want this council to know, and everyone from the public, that we do not sit on our hands when crime happens. To me, you know, in a sense, the definition of insanity is when crime happens and we only respond to it, but we don't do anything else. We always look and analyze what can we do, you know, to prevent this, to address it, to inform the public. And Sharon already spoke a lot about what she's doing, but I'll just give you some quick examples. We've been talking about vehicle thefts, not only this quarter, but in previous quarters. Like, it is definitely happening. I will say this, that in addition to our awareness messages to the public and so on, we did launch an operation with our crime reduction unit in district, and we did launch a covert operation, and I don't want to go into too many details about that operation because it's still ongoing. But we did pick off a major offender stealing vehicles with that operation, and that individual was arrested west of Bassano, and don't know that we're going to be able to link him to all the stolen vehicles that we believe that he's involved in, but we've taken a major player out of the game there, and that's part of a proactive operation to make sure that we're addressing that stuff. Fraud, Sharon's already talked about this stop sign awareness program. The biggest thing with frauds is you got to stop it before it happens, because once it happens, it's too late, right? We talked about the Operation Street Sweep that we ran, and again about the pivot irrigation awareness thing. So another thing we did on the the pivot thefts. There was a media release that came out, was that yesterday?
Yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, I think a couple days ago. Yeah, July 22nd it came out, so 2 days ago. I don't know if everyone's seen that. We sent it out. But we also engaged our crime reduction unit out of district. And our crime reduction units, by the way, are all plainclothes officers. And I'm happy to say they, in conjunction with us, launched an operation. And there was a 31-year-old male from Vauxhall that was actually arrested as a result of a lot of these pivot thefts. And he was charged with theft over $5,000, mischief, dangerous operation of a vehicle, theft under, possession of break-in tools, and so on. So he was subject to a release hearing, and he was released to appear in court in August 6th. So my whole message there is I just want everyone to know that we, not only do we respond to crimes, we do what we can proactively as well to address them. Anyways, I know I talk a lot, so I will saw it off there. Any questions about that report?
Well, thank you for the report, and I appreciate the good work that you do proactively as well. And as you've well highlighted, I think the fact that the repeat offenders are such a significant part of the thing adds frustration to your job, no doubt, too, as it does somewhat in the public. But I appreciate your vigilance on the way that you approach this in our communities, because it's...
And we do, this is why we have other programs, which I won't get into them because I know we only have so many minutes here, but we do curfew checks, we do compliance checks, and there's a reason for that, right, is, you know, for the most part, not always, but we sometimes know, you know, why those crimes are happening and maybe who's involved. So it's important to hold people, you know, accountable to their court conditions and so on.
Yeah, great to hear about your work in that area, so thank you. Go ahead, Holly.
Good morning. One thing you probably don't hear about much is fences being cut, so for cattle. So at our place, we had one cut right on Highway 530. Don't know, someone was driving and just wanted to get out. They just cut a fence, didn't look for a gate. Happened on the EID land too, and those cattle were called on because they were on the ditch bank and heading towards the highway. Called us and we figured out whose they were. But is there a way to get the word out that people don't realize when you cut a fence, there may not be any cattle there, but there could be in an hour, half an hour. Cattle move surprisingly fast. I don't think when people cut fences, they know what that could cause someone's death if cattle get on the highway. And I don't know how we can get that word out that it's...
So I think in response to that, like I don't know that we've received any complaints about cut fences, but that's where it starts. We can't address it if we don't know about it. And it is an act of mischief, right? And there's probably trespassing involved. I'm assuming they're cutting the fence to enter the property. So it starts with letting us know about it. And then from there, much like this other stuff, we can look at it and see what we can do proactively. And one thing that comes to mind right away is things like media releases and, again, those awareness messages.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Kelly.
Just quick questions. Who funds the community resource officer here in Brooks?
Who runs it? Sorry?
Funds it.
Funds it?
Money.
So, yeah, I'll let you speak to that.
Probably internal, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so are you talking about specifically the school officer?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it's grasslands and the city. Like there's some sort of a split. I don't know if Matt can.
Matt, go ahead. Yeah.
It's a 80-20 split, city, county.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, knew it was a quick question. Finally, I want to point out that at our conferences and conventions that we go to, we often hear about victim services. So I'm always asking you about victim services here in Bassano, in Brooks and Bassano. How has that changed and evolved?
So I'll gladly speak to that. And in fact, it's a good timing because I had a meeting with Victim Services yesterday. So we know that there's been changes with Victim Services where the province took over and they have launched their own model. That is in full swing right across the province. So we have Anne at our office who's been there for many, many years. And she's now integrated into that new model and basically an employee of what they call SARVIS, which is Southern Alberta Victim Serving Society. So she continues to be, you know, from our perspective, she's still our VSU person. She had a second person with her who has recently resigned and gone on to a different job, which is great because it still kind of intertwines with our operation. So they have one vacancy there. And between the two of them, they were addressing Brooks and Bassano. So what the province has done is they've actually sent down a seconded person to help Anne and help fill those voids. And Anne's going to take some time off. And I met with that seconded person and Anne yesterday, and we just talked about how it's going, how that relationship is between that unit and the RCMP and so on. And it's going really, really well. Is there things we can improve on? Absolutely, which for the most part is communication and stuff, but that's not uncommon. But we have a really good relationship there with Anne and what she's doing, and we let the province kind of take care of their model, and they manage that. So I think it's going well from our side. Would you agree with that, Shane?
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, does the Brooks detachment utilize any dogs, or do you have any on staff? If you
like police dogs?
Police dogs, yes.
So we don't have a police dog posted at the detachment, but like many of our other units, they're nearby. So there's a police dog section in Lethbridge, and that's who has recently become the unit that services us. Before, our police dogs were coming out of Calgary when we needed them. But they're spread out throughout the province. So Lethbridge is ours now, and Calgary would be the next closest. But that doesn't mean that that's where they're coming from when we call them, because often they're out on patrols, and they monitor calls, they monitor kind of what's unfolding. And we utilize police dog services often. So not posted at the detachment, but very nearby. And that applies to many, well, just about all other units that we don't have are nearby, right? Whether it's forensics, auto theft section, major crimes unit, our emergency response team is big, right? So if we don't have them in the walls of the detachment, they are just a quick radio call away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that extensive report, and also good to hear about the success you've had with regard to.
I agree.
The bottom, that's great to see. And I'll just put a pitch in too I have not recently, or in the immediate past, but the 911 service is a pretty good one, and the connection. I mean, driving the roads, you sometimes hesitate to call 911 because you don't want to create work where there isn't any. But I will just say, to the credit of RCMP and the whole service, is, often I've gotten a call back within a few minutes from a local, one of your detachment members, where you can make close the loop effectively without creating more work than is needed sometimes. So I think great to hear the success you've had, and appreciate anything we can do to help
we're all very fortunate, myself included, and everyone in this room, and the residents of the area, that we have a really strong team in Bassano and in Brooks. So I've been very, very happy and impressed. So it's good.
We share that sentiment. Thank you very much for your work on our behalf. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Today. Yep. Let's get Officer Burgess up here for this introduction so I can get back to work.
Okay. Pardon me?
5-minute recess.
Let's take 5 minutes, and then we'll work away at our welcome Councillor Burgess to make a introduction. Go ahead.
Good morning, Reeve Council. I'm here today to introduce a new member to our municipal enforcement team. This is Robert Ryder. He knows more about himself than I do, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I go by Rob, Bob, Bobby, Robert, whatever you can remember. I was given this opportunity just this last month. It's taken me a little bit to hop over ships from AHS. I've been working with AHS since 2015, doing security all the way up to doing a supervisor role there. So I've been doing a CPO role there or as a team lead for 4 years. So going from shift work and dealing with site security coming into the into the county, it's a new opportunity for me to learn from you guys as well as from Randy, and I look forward to joining you guys.
Good, thank you. Welcome, and look forward to your service in our community as well. Thanks for coming this morning. Thank you for the introduction. Well, why don't we introduce ourselves as well, and then you know who we are other than just by our name tag. I'm Arno Dirksen from the GEM area, Division 9. Go ahead.
I'm Kelly Chrisman, and I'm from the northwest side of the county, Bassano area.
Hi, welcome. Greg Screever, Division 5, Lake New Resort and Castles area.
Good morning, Ellen Unra, and I am from Division 7 around the village of Rosemary.
Welcome, Amanda Philpott, Division 8 around Dutchess.
And Neil Johnson, Division 10, around the city of Brooks.
Go ahead.
I'm Lynette Kopp. I represent Division 3, which is Patricia Millicent areas.
Welcome, Adina Scandrip, Division 2, the hamlet of Tilly and surrounding area.
Good morning, Holly Johnson, Division 4, the areas of Scandia, Rainier, and Bow City.
Welcome, Matt Finsky, CAO. And I spit out the other day, educate, remind, ticket.
Good set of priorities. Thank you for that, Matt. And thanks for coming in this morning and for the good work you do on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's move to item number 7.4, Councillor Compensation Advisory Committee Report. Dustin, you've got the floor.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'll just do a quick run through of the RFD and then I'll pass it off to Bailey here for the committee's perspective and if you guys want to take any questions. So in front of you, you have a few items, including the report from the committee with recommendations on changes to the councillor compensation and expense policy. So I won't read the report, but I'll highlight the recommendations the committee brought forward. So the committee recommends the following: adding a definition for remuneration within the policy's definition section, reclassifying certain meetings, including the regular council meeting, committee of the whole meetings, organizational meetings, council orientation, and strategic planning sessions, so they are no longer covered under the per diem rate, but instead included as the basic honorarium. Defining what is an internal committee meeting of the county, defining what is considered a working session for council, clarify when the county will cover costs for spouses of councillors attending special events, banquets, conferences, or conventions. Maximum annual cap of $200 per councillor was recommended for such expenses. And then just to adjust the basic honorarium based on the hours we added that we moved from the per diem and a % increase. So I can, not sure if Bailey has anything to add, but I can pass it off to her for the committee's perspective and see if there's any insights.
Thank you for having me here. I just wanted to note that as the committee, we wanted to ensure that any changes that we made are reflective of how we understand the roles and responsibilities and the time commitment that the county councillors put forward, how important that is. And so we're hoping that the changes that we made here, the increases, are all positive and that they're reflective of that appreciation that we have for the councillors.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in this morning. And maybe we should have introductions as well, which I will suggest everyone. Neil, why don't you start?
Neil Johnson, Division 10, Councillor.
Amanda Philpott, Division 8, around Duchess.
Good morning, Ellen Unruh, and I represent the countryside around the village of Rosemary.
Hi, Bailey, Lake Newell Resort and Castles area.
Kelly Chrisman, Div 6.
Arnold Dirksen, Division 9.
Welcome, Matt Fensky, CAO.
Good morning, Holly Johnson, Div 4, Scandia, Rainier, Bow City.
Hello, Adina Scandrup, Division 2, the Tilian area.
Lynette Kopp, Division 3, Patricia Millicent area.
Catherine Siakla, Communications Officer.
Ariana Nielsen, Executive Assistant.
Sandra Stanway, Brooks Bulletin.
Okay, anyway, yeah, thank you for the good work you've done. Are there any questions that council might have? Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it's possible to see some of the comparisons from the other municipalities, comparing, if we could see that information also. I'm not privy to it, so.
Yeah, I can get that information that Matt had with, and we can share that out, so for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll certainly have access to all of that information and the comparisons that we need. Okay, we've had the presentation. Thank you for the work that you did on our behalf. And I think we need Adina. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we go with option 1 to accept this as information.
Right. I think that we've got a motion. I think that certainly we're going to be looking at this, and we'll have to make a decision in the next period of time. But I think council, with that motion, has the opportunity to consider this and have a fulsome discussion with regard to how we're going to proceed on this. But are there any other comments or questions from council? Neil, and then Kelly, please.
Yeah, just one question. Adjust the basic honorarium to whatever you chose, and then make adjustments on the hourly. What were you thinking on the hourly? The reason I ask that is because that takes out, it's a really major change from the way it is right now.
Which adjustment on the hourly are you referring to?
Well,
is it
his
just
comment there was, we go to basic honorarium, which with what you recommended there, and then adjust the hourly.
So what it is just taking, there are certain meetings that rather than being paid as a per diem, were calculated for how many hours per year typically would be spent at these meetings. So that's standard meetings like council, committee of the whole meetings. We used the current per diem rate, calculated that based on the hours, and then just shifted it into an honorarium. So it should have transitioned just from being a per diem to honorarium, but at the same rate you would already have been receiving. And then the 7% increase would be on top of that. So it's not, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Kelly.
I think you addressed it a bit in your answer to Neil there. I'm just wondering if I could get a better understanding of what the committee thought was there. So if I understand your suggestion correctly, you're suggesting all regular council, MPC, committee of the whole meetings, that be shifted into our monthly honorarium. And so how do you address or speak to council attendance and involvement? You know, sometimes councillors are away for a time period during holiday season, that sort of thing, and that's their choice. We all have a choice to be here or not. But in fact, they would be receiving payment for that. So I'm just wondering, can you give me some context on that thought pattern from the committee?
So we felt that attending things like regularly scheduled council meetings and committee of the whole meetings were a core responsibility of the function of council, and that it would be better represented under an honorarium. That way, when people are considering running for council, they would be able to say, okay, we know we have to attend this many meetings per year, and that this would be that honorarium that covers those meetings. Per diems would be more for things that councillors are doing above and beyond those core functions of being on council, and that was the approach that the committee took when we were looking at this policy. We also used some other policies, like we looked at what other places do for what's covered under an honorarium versus what's covered under a per diem, and so we felt we would suggest this as an option.
Thanks for that, Bailey.
Okay, thank you. Holly, go ahead.
So when you did comparisons to other areas and looked at it, so you didn't see, you would have, I'm making the assumption or asking, I guess, that what we're getting is compensation comparatively to others. We're right on the mark, and you just kind of changed it from per diems to an honorarium, but we're in the right ballpark. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, so when we looked at the comparables, what we were looking at the comparables to determine was what your compensation in general was comparable to other counties, obviously not all municipalities, but other relevant comparables. But the honorarium versus per diem, that shift was made based on more of a policy content rather than your compensation in comparison to the compensation you may get at another county. So when we looked at it, we decided to implement the 7% increase on top of the shift from per diem to honorarium because we determined that the county was relatively low compared to some of the other comparables. So that's why we wanted to also implement another increase there.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor that we accept option 1 there in terms of the recommendations from staff. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Again, thank you for the good work that you and your group did on our behalf. I do have just a little expression of our appreciation to give to you on behalf of councils. It's 12 o'clock. Do you want to soldier on, or we'll break for lunch? Pardon me? Lunch is here? Yes. Let's, we'll break for lunch and reconvene at about 20 to 1 if we can, hey?
We got committee reports, 10 minutes.
Let's reconvene our meeting. We are down to item number 10, I believe, committee reports, correct? I don't think there's anything prior to that that's unfinished. So we have a couple of committee reports circulated to us. Are there any questions on those? Seeing none, and we can take questions as, oh, go ahead. Lynette, did you have
I did have a question on Newell Housing. When you were talking, part of it was when somebody doesn't hand in their income, their subsidy income paperwork, do they retroactivate things then? Like, because that would be subsidized rent when they haven't done their paperwork, how long a grace period do they get? Like, do they get evicted, or like, how does that work exactly?
Oh, you've got the answer? Okay.
So when people have to submit their paperwork for subsidized housing, there's two different kinds. You can live in subsidized housing where your rent is cheaper, or you can just be receiving, you could be renting from anybody and receiving subsidy for that. So if you're renting from anybody and just receiving the subsidy for your rent, they usually try for like 3 months to get you to submit the paperwork. And if you don't, then you just don't receive the subsidy anymore and you have to pay your own rent your own way. It's a little more difficult if you're living in subsidized housing because tenant rules, Alberta regulations for landlords and tenants are in favor for the tenant. And so it's really difficult to evict somebody for not following the rules. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Oh, Kelly, sorry, Kelly.
So I'd like to ask if there's any, and we're still on Newell Housing Report, and it's not in your report at all. Is there a difference in rates for residents and non-residents? So if somebody moved into a Newell Housing facility, Newbrook Lodge, let's make it clear. If somebody moved into Playfair or Newbrook Lodge, is there a different rate for resident and non-resident? So if somebody moved in from GEM, a rate for them, and somebody moved here from Vauxhall, a rate for them? Okay.
Adina, you've got...
Again, it's all based on your income. Doesn't matter where you're from, it's based on what your income is. So whatever line 150 is on your income tax determines what you're going to pay at Newbrook Lodge, Playfair Lodge. That is different than moving into, say, the Villa or Dr. Scott Apartments, because those, you have to be a certain age, and you also, they have a criteria, so you get so many points depending on, do you have dependents, do you have a handicap, are you part of a minority? They have like a list and you get so many points, and then whoever's got the most points gets the next available house. Doesn't matter who's first on the list. It's all about how you fit into the scale.
So my point is, we're subsidizing residents from outside our community that have not paid taxes here, basically. That's my point. And that is a policy from within Newell Housing that you can talk about. It happens in other communities where I moved to Strathmore. I would not receive a subsidy from Wheatland or town of Strathmore. Those are my examples. And so I just want to point that out. That's a Newell Housing policy that is a possibility.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to our committee reports, then beginning with Brooks Regional Tourism Association. Adina, is that you?
I don't really have much to report. There wasn't many at the meeting last time. We again met on Zoom. I just wanted to let you all know that I again reiterated that the pathway is not open. And I think that's about all I had to add to that. So yeah, not much going on this summer, but.
Okay, thank you. Holly, Grasslands Regional FCSS.
Just a few things. One is that we are currently or very soon looking at applications for core funding. Those decisions are made in September, so any agency who's looking to apply for core funding should be speaking with Victoria to get their application in. In terms of microgrants, 2 were approved. One was for the Brooks Composite High School Plant Club. They've had it for a couple of years. They want to expand to things like canning and preserving foods. It's a cool thing for kids to learn there. And also for the Brooks Family Mediation Services, which strives to do mediation when there's family disputes. They were given $1,500. So, and that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, Neil, Sewa.
I think I would rather do that in camera.
Okay, thank you. We will do that. Anything else in committee reports? I have nothing listed here. So I believe that takes us to potentially in camera. If someone has a motion to make that we move in camera. Ellen, all in favor, please indicate that we move in camera. That's carried. Thank you.